Hello and welcome to Norwich Talk, where I'm going to talk about possibly the scrappiest win of Norwich City's season. It was 3-1, and against a team that was in the relegation places going into the game. And looking at the way that the game panned out, obviously there was a missed penalty for Teemu Pukki, and the three goals would suggest that it was a comfortable win for Norwich, but not really at all. It was probably the least fluid they've played. I think the pitch had a little bit to do with it. Looked as terrible as it did against Coventry last week, really. And they just didn't really get going at any point. It's going to be another moan. Although we're now 10 points clear at the top of the league, so I'm trying not to be too negative. Um, I just think that the performance was disappointing, and had we walked away 1-1, having had the opportunity to make it 2-0 with Teemu Pukki's penalty, I think we would have all said, that this was a real problem this game. Thankfully, they came away from it a lot better than that. Sort of managed to scrape a victory with quite a lucky Teemu Pukki goal, and then a very unselfish layoff from Rupp to finish the game with Ollie Skipp's first senior goal, which is, we're obviously all really pleased for him. Just to touch on that, and I think he went off celebrating, and I thought maybe Rupp was due some credit, but it was good to see that even on a cold Tuesday night at Birmingham, that the spirit of football is still well and truly alive in Ollie Skipp, who was looked absolutely delighted with his tap in. Obviously, his first goal of his career, and you can tell why that meant a lot. So yeah, uh, that was the end of a second half, which was probably more what Norwich City wanted than and the rest of the game had been. I think that the first half was sort of bitty, and Birmingham actually really came onto them. Tim Krul made some good saves. I think the commentary that, on iFollow, which was what I watched it on, was very complimentary of Krul's save for the goal, but I don't think it was actually anything special. I think it was a little bit of an error from him, but fair enough. I think he made um, 7 or 8 good stops in the game. So he deserves quite a lot of credit. A little bit worrying that we managed to concede that rate of chances to a team that's done as poorly as Birmingham have this season, and especially given their reputation for being defensive. But I think what this showed to me tactically was that teams are aware of how to beat Norwich, or at least how to present them with a problem. You're not always going to, especially with the quality that Birmingham have against Norwich, which have just been relegated. Um, but they really through their pressing. I think teams are starting to see that the best way to deal with us is to come on to us and press us really high up the pitch. And I think that was actually where the goal came from. Um, Skip, the ball bobbled up, as I mentioned, the issues with the pitch. The ball bobbled up. He played it back to Krul, who had to then volley it first time. His pass was a little bit short for Zimmerman, who made an error. It was just three sort of smaller errors caused by the pressing of Birmingham. They came on. Krul should have held the shot, and then the tap in. That was after Teemu Pukki's opener. A really smart finish actually, and not really very characteristic of him. He absolutely smashed it into the side netting. And yeah, from then it looked like Norwich were maybe going to get a foothold. Todd Cantwell went down, and it was rightfully a penalty. Absolutely stupid from Neil Etheridge, the Birmingham goalkeeper, to go diving in when Cantwell was clearly going to get there first. But then Pukki's penalty was terrible. Rolled it down the middle. I think he was expecting Etheridge to dive a little bit earlier, and for it to just roll into the empty net. But it was a good stop from Etheridge with his legs. Showed a bit of nerve. And then Birmingham obviously got confidence from that, and I was worried that was going to happen. It did, and then as you get to half time, evaluating that first half, it really felt like the type of performance where you were just going to go, oh, we just let it slip away. But thankfully, as the game went on, Norwich had more possession and had more of an influence on the game. Todd Cantwell grew in influence, I thought. Um, Evan Buendia as well, especially. He was really absent for large periods of the game, and then to be involved in everything, and that was when Norwich's best spell of play came, in my opinion. So yeah, that was 2-1. Evan Buendia's shot from the edge of the box, uh, bobbling very luckily through to Pukki. It felt a bit like that Leeds goal a few years ago. I think it was to make it 1-0, or no, I think it was 2-0 actually. at Elland Road, when everybody seemed to sort of stop because it looked a little bit offside and a little bit almost too easy, and that was what this goal felt like. But the goal stood, obviously, and I think that VAR mentality has been built into me because I didn't want to celebrate too quickly. Thankfully, none of that in the Championship, so the goal stood. And then Birmingham came on to us a little bit more, but it actually wasn't really their most threatening period of the game. And they were chasing an equaliser, and they threw on their big boys to try and go long. In fact, Norwich dealt with that quite well and got on the ball and starved them of it, really. So that was the best period of the game for them. Birmingham threw all their men forward, and in the 95th minute, just a lucky bounce, and Rupp finds himself all on his own in the second half. Skipp and Hugo, who had come on as a sub, we'll get to that in a minute, providing him with backup. He went right to Skipp, who tapped it in. And regarding that Hugo substitution, the interesting thing is that it was for Ono Hernandez, who didn't start the game. Obviously, he came on after, I think, about 70 minutes, might have been a little bit earlier. And he did not look happy when he came off, so it probably wasn't an injury thing. Granted, Farke's already done this season with Dowell. When he was coming back from injury, he came off, having come on at half time, he came off with maybe 1 minute left to waste time. And I wonder if Hernandez will see that logic and hopefully be a bit happier about it. But he didn't look happy with it, and I'm sure that might present a problem. It was an interesting risk from Farke, given that we were winning the game and Birmingham weren't presenting too much of a problem. I wonder if it was really worth it to chuck on Hugo at the end, given the sort of a morale reducer it will probably provide for Hernandez in the future. So that's probably long term. Obviously, looking back, it wasn't a great performance, and that's the biggest worry from the game. But I think they'll put that behind them and just enjoy the result. Going forwards, I think the biggest worry is actually that Ono Hernandez situation. So I think Parker's maybe created a problem where one didn't need to exist there, unfortunately. In terms of performances, I was impressed with. There wasn't too many, to be honest. I think Zimmerman did quite well again. Some vital clearances and headers when Birmingham played that more sort of attritional style. A nice little back heel away, a vital touch in the last few minutes. So I was impressed with him. Krul, as I said, made a few saves, but probably liable for the goal. Apart from that, there wasn't too. I think Max Aarons was okay. Anulis was okay, but made a couple of errors in judgment and allowed Birmingham in. Pukki, I suppose, apart from the penalty, but the penalty really did let him down, and he'll be frustrated that he could have had a hat trick, or he could have set the tone for a thrashing if he could have scored that second. I know it doesn't matter in the end. Norwich are 10 points clear, and Daniel Farke will be really happy. But the sort of scrappy performance, we're not too keen to watch as Norwich fans. Hopefully there won't be too many of those, but hopefully there'll be more and more wins. Daniel Farke will be really pleased. I'm sure all of you are. Now that they're 10 points clear until tomorrow at least. Thank you for watching, and for more great Norwich City content, head over to norwichcity.myfootballwriter.com.